We just had the foreign minister of Mexico, Ebrard, leaving the State Department just in very short comments saying that he's always optimistic about these negotiations. Although I gotta ask, should he start worrying now, given that there was no agreement again?
Yeah, I mean, no one was really expecting a deal today, but it's this weird calm before what I would think would be a storm, because, of course, we're running out of time for the U.S. either to apply these tariffs or decide not to apply these tariffs, either permanently or with some kind of delay to allow talks to take more time. So the bottom line is we still don't know. Mexico has made offers in these sessions. There's been 2 today as well as 1 yesterday here in Washington. Pence himself and others have said that they're encouraged by what they call progress, but President Trump has said it's not enough yet. I suspect we'll hear more from the president either tonight or very early in the morning. He, of course, remains in Ireland. And so, the time difference, I think, might play a factor in when we hear from the president. Ultimately, it's up to him.
Yeah, we've also heard from the Hill in the past hour or so that the president's drafted an emergency order to implement the Mexico tariffs. So what does that mean for the talks?
Yeah, I think that we were sort of looking for that. There was a question as to whether he could piggyback off a previous emergency declaration, because the power he's trying to use here to apply tariffs across the board relies on there being an emergency. And so I guess you could argue both that this is a sign that they are at least leaving the option open to proceed with those tariffs. Of course, they say they're planning to proceed with them until they get a deal that would lead otherwise. But it could also, on the flip side, just be sort of dotting I's and crossing T's and preparing paperwork so that they can proceed if they have to. Really, the U.S. hasn't grown more hawkish in tone. They're saying that there is progress and things are moving. They're not moving enough. But it doesn't sound like they're ruling out a deal that could stop any tariffs from coming in on Monday, the 10th.
They're also not ruling out potential more tariffs on China. The president now saying that he'll decide on those tariffs after the G20. What do we know?
Yeah, absolutely. So if there wasn't enough attention on that G20 later this month in Japan, now we know we can add even a little more intrigue. President Trump saying he's going to wait to see what happens there, going to speak with President Xi Jinping of China at the summit, and then afterwards he will make some kind of decision, not putting a timeline on it, though, and that's always interesting. This president has a habit of occasionally saying things that, that he might make a decision in a couple of weeks, and those things have a habit of sliding occasionally. So there's no firm timeline other than investors and people watching this closely can look like they can safely say, well, nothing will happen until that meeting at the G20 in Japan, and then after that, anyone's guess.